Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's your boy, Do It With Dan. Ooh. I hate doing intros, so we're gonna make this really easy. If you like the video, leave a like at the end, only if you like the video. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and do that. Cool, great. Also, merch, buy that shit if you like it. If you don't, that's cool too. That's, you know, it's a decision now, just like anything that you want. So last time I did this video called Cars I Regret Selling. And one of the funny things was how many questions I got regarding the cars that I don't regret selling. And one of the things that you guys pointed out was that the GTR was not on the list of cars that I regret selling. And you wanted to know why I didn't regret selling the GTR amongst other cars. So I'm gonna go through this list and naturally we'll put the GTR at the very end. Gotta make that sweet ad revenue, baby. So yeah, let's just get right into it. This one's pretty easy. I think this is a good place to start, is the BMW, because a lot of people, when they first found my channel back in the day, this was the car that I had, right? Most people remember it like with the matte green plastic dip paint job that I did, which was fucking awesome, right? There's a lot of reasons I don't regret selling this. One of the main reasons is because it was like, I knew the people, don't hate me for this, guys, but I knew the people who had these cars. And it was kind of like, oh man, look at that. I didn't tape off the grill up here. You can see the sweet overspray the plastic dip. That's real classy, Dan. Real classy, looking good. Yeah, and, oh, this was the same day I did it too. Yeah, look, you can see where I didn't tape off the grills. That was dumb. So the reason I don't regret selling this car, not because it was a bad car. If honestly, it was the exact opposite. It was surprising how quick it was to make a little bit of power out of these things with how cheap you could do the installs and stuff like that. I think I have like a downpipe and a tune, and it pushed like right around 400 some odd horsepower. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. But I don't regret selling it because like that was a car that I feel like I thoroughly enjoyed the type of car that it was. I knew similar people who had those cars in similar condition, and decided that that wasn't who I was. And not that there's anything wrong with that. If you're into Bimmers, if you're into BMWs in general, like there's a huge group of passionate people about that, right? Like the same thing there's with like Corvettes and Harleys, and you know, anything where there's like a diehard love for it. And that just wasn't me. I wasn't like I love BMWs, you know? So like at a certain point I was like, man, I'm fucking stoked on this car, and I want to get rid of it. I honestly think that this was an awesome car. The N54 engine that was in it was pretty doggone awesome, minus the ECU. I remember one time I was on a way to a buddy of mine's grandfather's funeral, and which was between Brunswick and Jessup, I believe, or no, it was farther than Jessup, I don't remember, but it was like a good 2-hour drive. The fucking ECU shit out half the coil pack on it, essentially. Like the ECU decided to stop firing on half the cylinders. Went into limp mode, and I still had to make the funeral, so I ended up driving this thing all the way like an hour and a half on limp mode on half a bank of cylinders, inline 6, so cylinders 1, 3, and 5 were running. It was a fucking nightmare. Like it would stop accelerating after about 10 minutes of driving, maybe less than that, maybe it was 5. So I'd have to like bump it into neutral and then bump it back into drive, and it would like reset whatever ECU timer that was and allow me to keep limping. So I limped like an hour and a half to the funeral and like another 2 hours back home. And yeah, super fucking awesome car. Oh man, look at this. I sprayed over my side blinkers. Not that BMW drivers use blinkers anyway. Okay, some of you guys, depending on how long you've been around, might recognize this bike, but this was oh, you can fucking see the Narkill lawnmower in the background. It was a cool bike. It was neat, you know. Anytime you see like, and you guys will know what I'm talking about, but something about color matched chains to motorcycle wheels, especially if it's like red or yellow or green, it says a lot about the bike usually. But the bike was a little rough, and then this was, oh my god. Okay, alright, I gotta talk about this paint job here. You guys are probably thinking, damn Dan, this paint job looks fucking awesome. You did a great job on this paint job. And that is partially true. This was my first time ever doing painting, and I did a pretty sweet job here on the fairings. The problem is, I think I used a latex-based paint. It was like a house paint. It wasn't meant for automotive stuff. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And I didn't mix it properly, and I bought this electric spray gun to spray the paint panels. I didn't know you had to thin paint before you sprayed it. Oh, it was a nightmare, bro. And I was renting this house, and I got fucking paint everywhere in the garage. on the refrigerator in the garage, on the floors, on the walls, on the door, on the windows. It was the dumbest shit. I know it's on YouTube somewhere. I know for a fact some of that is on YouTube. I'll see if I can find it. Fuck it. You guys are, I mean, you're along for the ride. Oh my god.
Alright guys, so
shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. You have no idea what you're talking about. Look at this transition. Holy shit. I love watching my old YouTube videos because it's all like watching someone that's stupider than you are, but just by like that much, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so look how, let's see how clean and tidy this garage is. Look at the floors. You can see. Yeah, fuck it, you'll paint that blue. You go get him, Tiger. You gonna paint that blue. All right, watch this. Watch the transition to after the paint. Oh my god. Look how fucking... Dude, this is so stupid. Why? Oh, why? Who let me do stuff back in the day? I know I was a DIYer, but what the fuck is this, dude? Look at this trail of shame. Do I have to say anything about it? Yeah, this is a fucking unholy mess right now. Oh my god, who is this kid? He's hilarious. There's a learning curve. There's a learning curve, alright. It's not even the right kind of paint. Do I show the paint? I probably don't even show the paint can because I wasn't sure back in the day. The fucked up thing is that the paint laid great and it was glossy. There wasn't any like imperfections in the paint. It was oddly well painted. The problem was that it was so fucking thick. it was so thick it never cured. I bet even to this day you could gouge a chunk out of it with your thumbnail. So anyway, the reason I don't regret selling this bike is for a lot of reasons, man. Like, this generation of 600 RRs was brilliant. Like, they did a great job with the way they're built and performance-wise for, like, track use. But that's the fucking problem, is that they're, like, ungodly uncomfortable. Like, even back in the day, I was uncomfortable on this 600 RR. I think the 636 and the ZX6R are very similar in, like, the seating position, too. And, you know, I've heard people say the opposite. Great bike, though. Like, plenty fast, sounded amazing. 7 out of 10. This one's kind of sad, right? So you're thinking to yourself, Dan, pretty sure you crashed this one. You didn't sell it, which is fucking true. That is 100% true. However, I don't regret the fact that it was crashed, if that makes sense. Like, it was fucking terrifying. I thought I was gonna die, and I had just dumped a bunch of fucking money that I didn't get back in it through insurance, you know? The fact that it got wrecked is probably for the best, because had what had happened not happened, I probably would have fucking killed myself in that car, for sure. Bunch of shit that went wrong that day. On top of that, it was like below freezing. I think it was like 30 degrees the day that I wrecked. Yeah, so after I wrecked it, I was actually pretty happy to see it go because, you know, that was like one of those things where it's like, okay, you know, am I ready? Is this what I want? This is like what I fucking want. And I love the car, man. The thing sounded awesome. It fucking went through so many iterations. I think, it's hard for me to look at this and not think it looks fucking awesome. But that looks fucking awesome too, man. Justin did such a good job with the wrap on this car. Oh yeah, I gotta fucking, if we're talking about the history of these cars, man, I had a vision in my head, right? This was my first time putting together a vision like this on a car. This was like my first fucking, I would say expensive purchase, right? This car was. And I had a vision in my head of what I thought I wanted it to look like. And it fucking missed. I'm man enough to admit that now, that my vision was a complete and utter failure. It looked like the Ronald McDonald Mobile. Wheels were too gold, the red was too red, there was a couple of problems with it. There was a lot of shit. The stance was too high, and a big problem was that I took it to these fucking guys, and there was some shady shit that happened at that shop. They were the same people that fucked up my rocker panels. They like overglued it, so like the fucking clear coat was coming up. Oh dude, there was so many problems with that wrap. And then on top of that, and I can't prove it, you know, or anything like that, but I had like 3 or 4 people call me or message me and say that they saw my car in Atlanta while the car was supposed to be at that shop. Yeah, there was some really shady shit with that shop. I think they've shut down for good. Yeah, so, you know, it was probably a good thing that I got rid of that car at the time, because I probably would have gotten fucking hurt. That's the reason I don't regret it, because inevitably it ended up working out for the better, right? However, I still think the C7 is a great platform. If you have a C7 Grand Sport or a C7Z or a C7 Stingray, I think fucking 10 out of 10 platform. We'll cover this one really quick because it was in the last video and I don't want to take too long, but no, I don't regret selling the H2 for the simple fact that, again, had I not, I would have been fucking dead. There's no way around it. I was unable to handle the responsibility of that power. I frequently went 200 miles an hour on the bike, like 2-lane roads on like back-ass roads that someone would pull out in front of me. It's a miracle that I didn't die before I got rid of it. I think about it way too often, but I'm glad to have owned one. I'm glad to have gone through that experience, and I'm glad to have lived it. That's like the most important part, right? And that's when Justin and I just were like experimenting with some camo chrome back in the day. The fucking bike was ceramic coated, so like I got to 200 miles an hour one time and half of the wrap came off. You can't wrap a ceramic coated vehicle, especially not on that chrome. Okay, this should bring back some painful memories for me and me alone. The R6 that I looped out doing wheelies and shit like that. Go figure, right? Why wouldn't you regret selling that, Dan? Some of you guys might ask. The real answer is because it paid for all of my expenses selling that bike. Dude, I was such a shithead. Tag applied for. It wasn't even actually spelled out. Tag APLFOR. So I didn't even have the fucking audacity to write out the whole word. What a shithead. Funny story, insurance never touched that bike. I sold it as is with a clean title and made more money than I paid for it originally. Funny. This bike is on the list? Fuck yeah, this bike is on the list. Let's talk about this. This is gonna probably bum some people out, right? So I would say a lot of people, like, this is where they found my channel, right? Was through this bike, the Sharpie bike. Everyone knows the fucking Sharpie bike. They're like, oh dude, I've been following since the Sharpie bike. So why don't I regret selling this bike? There's a fucked up story behind this bike. So this is the first bike that I bought after the R6 accident, right? Obviously when I wrecked, I was still young. I think I was like 21 maybe at the time, maybe not even that old. So I was still under my parents' insurance, right? And they fucking hated the bikes. They still fucking hate the bikes. Mom, I know you're watching this. We talked about watching my videos yesterday. I know how much you hate the bikes. And I'm sorry. I really am. But it's time for me to come clean, Mom. I have no idea if I've told you this in person, Mom, but you're about to learn some things about me in this motorcycle. I'm pretty sure I've told you, but I hope this doesn't affect Christmas. So this is, like I said, this is the first bike that I bought after my R6 accident. And my parents hated the bikes, but I was running a YouTube channel and I couldn't let anything stop me. Like, my parents fucking hated it and I didn't want to disappoint them or upset them. So I bought this bike and I told them I was bike sitting for a friend of mine who was in the military. Which was not true at all. That was a fucking lie. I lied to my parents to their face several times. I am so sorry, guys. But I knew they would be upset. I knew they'd be furious. They'd never let me hear the end of it if I told them, like, yeah, I just went out and bought a motorcycle I can't afford right away after my accident. They would be fucking livid. So naturally, that's what I did. I went out and bought a motorcycle right away. So I'm sorry, Mom. I actually own this motorcycle. I bought it in North Carolina or South Carolina. I don't remember how far I rode to go get it, but it was far. It was kind of a piece of shit bike, you know? Whether or not you could tell from these photos, it was. This bike had been ridden hard and put up wet more times than I can count. Rusty, mismatching bolts, the frame had been painted and re-welded a couple of times. Kind of just looked past that. The headlights didn't work for shit. The brakes, rotors were warped, so anytime you'd apply the front brakes, it would shake. I used to call it redneck ABS. There's a million reasons why that bike was not a good bike. And not to mention the fact that I hated everything about it other than the fact that I wrapped it, because chrome wheels, I'd never liked chrome wheels on sport bike. Really awful hand and clutch lever setup. I hated it, and I was too poor to afford anything else. There's just so much wrong with the bike. But what sucks is that I took this like shitty bike and then I wrapped it poorly, I might add, and then I drew on it and it became like everyone loved it. Everyone's like, I fucking love that. And I was so ashamed of how bad it was because I started learning what quality. Look at this. This is where the wrap is splitting. The wrap is bubbling here. There's so much, like, what is this? You can see the bubbles and the cut lines. Oh God, you can see the overlaps. You see that? I hope Justin doesn't watch this video because he'll think less of me. It was a really popular bike. And the person I sold it to, I think, ended up totaling it. We ran into it one time in the wild in Florida, I believe. Laura and I and a couple of our friends were going to this like rafting spring kind of deal. And like out of nowhere, I look over at this random gas station in Florida. I'm like, that's the fucking Sharpie bike. That's it right there. So we pulled over and like we had a fucking moment. But I think the bike got totaled pretty much shortly after that. So, you know, it's like a history of me owning vehicles and them ending up in the... This was a truck that I had right at the beginning of my YouTube career, whatever you want to call it, is my Tacoma. I think it was 2016 Tacoma, I believe. I love this truck. This truck was fucking awesome. I took it everywhere. I got it stuck the day I bought it, like in quicksand in the middle of the Brunswick swamps, bro. It was a nightmare. Look at that. Look at that tire tread. Look at that sweet tire tread. I bought these tires used from a tire place. Like used. I made this grill. Like, you want to talk about how long my handyman skills go back in the day when I've been trying to work on shit? I made this grill. It was called a Satoshi Grill Mod. That was like the big thing back in the day. And I had a write-up on it on like one of the Tacoma forums, which is where a lot of people have found like my way old Tacoma YouTube channel where like that's what I did. It was, I think, the most viewed Satoshi Grill Mod profiles on Tacoma World or whatever it was. It was really cool. Of course, I didn't, for whatever reason, I left it satin and didn't gloss it like the rest of the truck because I'm dumb, and as soon as I get like halfway through a project, I quit. Oh, look at that. That's there in the Magna. Like the Magna when I originally bought the Magna. Everything but the bandana. The bandana was actually on it before I bought the bike, which was always been like the Magna's thing. Those wheels look really good in satin. Damn, look at that beefy ass tire. Dude, I might quit the white walls. I might take the white walls off. I like the white walls, but those look so good without the white walls. Is that how women are when they're like, oh, I gotta go get my hair cut, and then they're like, I just miss my long hair so much. The reason I don't regret selling this truck is because I was ready to stop having a truck. I had done truck stuff, at least Tacoma stuff. I'd done Tacoma stuff. Everything besides towing a set of kayaks. You know, I'd done all the Tacoma stuff, and I was satisfied with that section of my life, and gladly sold that truck. I traded it for the BMW, and that was the history of Danny Tacoma. Oh, this is a hard one, right? So I put this on the list specifically to keep it in a category, right? Because like talking about all the cars that I've sold and all the cars that I haven't sold, and it's like the same reason I put the C7 on here is because it was another car I let go before I was ready to let it go necessarily, but at the same time, it was a little bit different. There were other factors involved. Like if I was a better driver, I probably could have kept the C7 on the road. However, with the circumstances with the ZL1, I feel pretty confident in the accident and like that I tried my best, and there was just nothing I could do, you know? But at the same time, as far as getting rid of it was, I was already kind of looking into selling the car possibly, because the problem with hanging around people that have like McLarens and Lamborghinis and stuff like that is that like you feel like you're like, oh, that's what I really fucking want. I'm gonna work really hard for it. And that's what I wanted to do. I was gonna sell this and hopefully get a McLaren or something like that. And actually I got pretty well compensated for the ZL1 through insurance. I very rarely have said this, but I feel like Progressive made it right on that car because they paid me for the wheels, they paid me for the spoiler, which technically was on the car when I got it, and they paid me for the steering wheel, which was fucking awesome. They paid me for everything and really did right by me. But the only reason I was okay with getting rid of it, like I don't regret the idea of getting rid of it, is because like I was already teetering on the decision to get rid of it. My hand was kind of forced, you know. I was like, okay, cool, well it's gone now. I don't have a choice. So that's why I say it was easier for me. I didn't regret it because it's not like I really got to say goodbye to it. But I will say this about this car. To me, hands down, this is the best thing that Chevy has put on the market in a very long time. Obviously I'm biased, I'm gonna say the C8's better. Like really, that's 100% subjective. This car was built so fucking great. The power, the stance of it, I mean, everything about this car is badass. There's no way you can change my mind and say that this car isn't the most badass Camaro that they've ever made. It was so gnarly. And I tell you what, the interior on these cars is pretty close to top notch too. It's right up there with the C8, which I would consider to be like next level, supposed to be quality kind of deal. And people rag on Chevrolet's interiors all the time because they get like a fucking base model Malibu and they're like, this is dog shit. My Ford and Dirge are better. The interior trim on this car with the Alcantara it's such a good car, man. Such a good car. A buddy of mine just picked up one in that racer blue, or it's not grabber blue, that's Mustangs, but he just picked one up and I told him, I was like, congratulations, man, you're gonna fucking love that car. It is built so well. The only thing I'd recommend is not driving over flooded highways with 345s. That was such a holy shit. So yeah, that's like, again, personal preference, but like that was so pretty. And before we go over the GTR, why I don't regret selling it, because it's a big one. I found this photo along with some of the other car photos. This was the day that Justin and I dropped off Dolph's 488 at, I don't want to say the label studio and get it wrong or anything like that, but we dropped his 488 off, and that was when I met Dolph. Very interesting, very cool day, but I figured I'd share that photo with you guys when we dropped off that car. That was really cool. It was really neat. A lot of you guys have shown a lot of respect in my comments towards his passing, so. And finally, the GT fucking R. I got asked so many times, because I guess I didn't really talk about it, or, you know, like if you don't make a dedicated video about it, people aren't going to pay attention. It's just how it is. And I get that. But I've talked, oh, look, this is at David's house. His old house? Same house. I don't know. Everyone asked me since I made that video, Dan, why did you sell the GTR? And I think that's because it's got a lot of like soft spot in people's hearts, like everyone's favorite fucking car, right? I know when I was a kid, like that was the car to have. When I was younger, it was like, dude, if you could get an R35, if you get an R35, it'd be so fucking cool. And this is back when it had Justin's very first snow camo style wrap. And it kind of looked like a cow on the GTR, but the wrap was fucking banging. Oh yeah, and that's when we had it in the color shift. That, I think that setup was beautiful with the variant wheels in like the black chrome. Although I think I should have gone with 21s. Anyway, so like, why did I get rid of the GTR? For me, it was very simple because I don't want to say that it disappointed. I just kind of built up unreasonable expectations of it in my head. And it's not that it didn't do all the things that everyone said it did. It was just that it didn't make me feel the way I thought it was going to make me feel. And that's 100% a subjective thing. Is an R35 GTR a fast and awesome fucking car? 100%. It's easily the fastest car that I've owned. It was, I think 650 all-wheel horsepower on E85. It was pretty quick. It was a fun car to have. However, for the price, it was not what I wanted. And this is gonna sound ridiculous. I'll go over the mechanical issues first because it's a multitude of reasons. So like right out of the gate, the car was a clanky, clunkety, rickety, noisy car. Nothing that affected performance per se. God, it had so many like little things, little issues about it. The transmissions were so slappy and clanky in the car. It's like you'd start it up and it would rattle and you'd hear it rattling and humming, and it was just normal. Like I took it to a Nissan dealership a couple times and they're like, yep, 100% normal. There was an issue with the wheel hubs where like I guess a layer of rust or grime builds up between the wheels and the hubs, and it starts making like a ticking noise when you turn, almost like the sound of bicycle wheel spokes breaking. If that's a specific noise to you, I know it is to me. But like, it was only when you were turning. You'd go to a car show and here you are in this expensive ass car and it's fucking clanking and rattling and it's fucking idling funny because it's on E85 and doesn't run good because no car tuned on E85 runs perfect. Go to make a turn and it's like tick, 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 and everyone's like, what's wrong with your car? And I'm like, nothing. It's a GTR. They all do this. That aspect of owning the car was a little like, it took away from the fun for me. I know I'm gonna sound a little vain when I say this, but I know a lot of people feel the same way. Like, part of having a cool looking car or a fun car is sharing that experience with other people. I love it when people compliment my car at the gas station because not only does it make me feel good about like my car, it's like, you know, egotistical gratification, but at the same time, it's a way to recognize an instant bond with somebody like, hey, I also think what you do is really cool. While the car did bring that attention, it was like a specific kind of people. It was always just car people. Not that there's anything wrong with being car people. I fucking love the car community. It wasn't everybody. The kids would look at the car and be like, nice fucking Altima. Why it make that noise? So like for that amount of money, it didn't bring me all the feelings that I wanted to feel. And that sounds a little bit egotistical or like a little bit vain. I get that, but it's honest. It's 100% the truth for me. Was the GTR a fast and awesome car? 100%. The way it launched was brilliant. The way it sounded was kick-ass. And at the same time, while it still is all that crazy fast, it wasn't that fun to drive. I didn't like hopping in it to go somewhere. Whether that's just the car thing or the E85 thing, there's a lot of different factors. But now, in the sake of fairness, I've heard that a lot of these issues have been fixed going with the newer model GTRs. Like, I think it's like 18 and up or something like that. They've fixed a lot of these issues, clankiness and the sounds and whatnot, but that's still, all of that together is still maybe 30% of why I didn't like the car. And again, I want to reiterate that a lot of that stuff is subjective. I don't want to try to tell anybody that their dream car is stupid, because it's not. It's a great car, and if that's your dream car, fucking go for it. I think you're gonna enjoy it. But I think what I was doing was trying to make sure I upgraded every time that I moved away from a vehicle. Oh, I got rid of the Camaro, gotta go with the Corvette. Oh, got rid of the Corvette, gotta go with the GTR. And I looked at the GTR thinking that like that was pretty high, and going like, well, just because it costs more money doesn't make it better, or doesn't make it better for me. And I'll never forget the moment I decided to sell the GTR. I can remember the exact moment that I decided to sell the GTR, and I'll never forget that. I was at Justin's shop and I had the GTR there. I had just gotten it. I literally just bought it the exact same day. And I drove to the shop and I wanted to show it off, and he was like super stoked and proud for me, obviously, because he's a good friend. He goes, let's go race him. And I was like, all right. We took the cars out. He was in the Lamborghini at the time when he had that. And we raced that, and it was such a good close race, man. It was a good race. And we get back to his shop, and we're kicking it and chilling. And you know, at the end of the night, we go to move the cars around. I help him with that when I can. And he goes, hey man, I need you to move this Camaro inside. And I was like, okay, cool. And I go outside, and it's this fucking red ZL1, like 2018 manual ZL1, 1LE. Spec'd out exactly how I would have spec'd it myself. And at the time, I didn't even know those cars existed, bro. I'd never seen one of these ZL1s, the newer ones. And I just look at it and I was like, holy fuck, what is that? And he's like, oh, it's some Camaro, you know? I was like, what? So I moved the Camaro around, and it was like, immediately I knew that I'd bought the wrong car. It was like one of those moments. I still kept trying to tell myself that the GTR was still a good purchase for me, and I didn't regret it. But inevitably, I ended up buying the ZL1. You know, I think I had the GTR for like 3 or 4 months, maybe a little bit longer, maybe a little less. I did not have that car for long. It's so funny too. Cause like Laura knew that it was the wrong car for me too. The day I bought it, I called her. I was like, I bought a GTR, and she's like, no way. How you feel about it? I'm like, ah. That was my response. I was like, ah. And she's like, do you love it? And I'm like, I'm just getting used to the car. There's a lot going on, which there was. I wasn't made for a GTR. Not as my main car. How about that? I will say this. I've covered my ass with every car, and I'm gonna say it again about the GTR. Brilliant car. Top-notch engineering. They go stupid fucking fast. There's a million different modifications for it. It's endless possibilities with the GTR. And I think it's a great platform, and I think it's a great car. For what you get, man, pretty awesome. I remember this one time, Laura and I were driving the GTR somewhere, we're going to the movies or something. We're on some back road, and I was in it. I was doing like 160. I was pushing 160. She goes, look at this meme, and like shows me her phone, and I'm like hauling ass down this road. I'm like, we're doing 160 right now. And she's like, oh look, we are. Like that's how smooth that car was. So when I think about like how good that car is, it's definitely up there. It's a good car. It just wasn't for me. I guess on that note, I think that's it. I think I've covered all of those car questions. And I feel like I have so much more to talk about, but like I can't fit it all into one video, you know? So it seems like you guys really enjoyed the last sitting down and talking about cars and stuff like that. I have a lot of stuff I could talk about with cars. And if this seems like something you guys would want to watch regularly, I'll do it more often. I'm into this. This is easy and relaxing for me, and I enjoyed this. Maybe with motorcycles too. I got a lot of motorcycle content I could do like this. I want to say thank you guys as always for stopping by and watching. I appreciate the fuck out of y'all. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Okay. Just gonna leave a long, awkward stare on the outro. Just gonna hang out and just watch you guys. You know, just hang out and look at you guys. And you know what's awesome? What you've been doing. You've been doing a great job. It may not feel like it. You know, there's a lot of crazy shit going on in the world right now. But you're doing awesome. And it's gonna get easier. Like, it's fucking hard right now. Like, of course. Like, no shit, it's hard, right? Like, sometimes it gets really hard and you're like, whoa, dude, this is getting, like, really hard. But then you're like, oh, yeah, of course it's hard. Everything's hard right now. So we're all just in this together, you know? It's really easy to get bogged down in the thought process that, you know, not everyone's struggling, especially with the way the internet and whatnot makes things going. But, well, you know, you're not alone, man. We're out here busting our asses trying to do the right thing. And I hope you're doing good. I feel like you're doing good. And I want you to do good. I mean that. We've had a pretty good relationship lately, and I feel like we're getting somewhere. And I'm not even gonna like full screen the camera. It's not even necessary. You guys can sit here and look at the photo of my GTR until the end of the video. I don't care. But I want to let you guys know this has gone on really long, and you guys have probably figured it out by now, if you know what I'm saying. But I mean it. I do. And man, who decided to make this car look like a goddamn brick?